Okay, I can give you a direct definition of agroecology. It's more of agriculture that's based on ecology, but we feel it's agroecology is more than that definition. It's a science, it's a practice, it's also a social movement that mainly integrates the ecology principle into agriculture system. So we feel like agroecology is more work in promoting the nature. It's not really against the nature, unlike those conventional agriculture, because if you have an experience of witnessing the conventional agriculture, it's mainly depend on heavily on synthetic fertilizers. There is a pesticide, there is a monoculture, but agroecology is different from all this because it mainly emphasizes on diversity, local knowledge, and above all, what makes agroecology different is it's about sustainability. So it's really help us to regenerate the land. It's also preserve the biodiversity around us. And mainly when it comes to the community, it really strengthens the local food system. So it's really interrelated with the social and the culture of a community. And it's the best way. So that's how we define. Agroecology have around 13 principles. So if you get a chance to see those principles, one of the principles is it's really connects human, it connects with the soil, it connects with the animal. So you can see everything that around the earth when you really look deep into agroecology. So when it comes to the climate change, agroecology it really helps in mitigating climate change. So it really enhanced the soil health because I said it's a natural way of farming. And also it really helps in reducing the carbon emission. And because of its nature, agroecology really reduce the reliance on fossil fuel, especially those inputs that people use for production, for day-to-day life. So it really helps them to reduce all this. And in promoting at the same time, it promotes the local food system that's really within the long food value chain. So when you do all those, when you reduce the people dependency on fossil fuels to the healthy soil, to the carbon reduction, so you start to build resilience. Resilience for especially when it comes to the smallholder farmers. So that happened because agroecology is more of diversification of crops. It's not monocropping like the conventional agriculture. So when there's a diversity of crop production, there is also an income source. So people will get their income from different means. So it makes them to really less vulnerable to the climate shock. So agroecology is, it's also, we consider it as a hotspot for diversity. For biodiversity. So yeah, it's more of, they really more rely on the nature in a healthy way. It's the way that they become less vulnerable for climate change. So yeah, it's also promote the native species, the health of the ecosystem, and all along, it really supports the long term of food security, especially within a community, within a country, even if you go to beyond the continent. So yeah, as a continent in Africa and also as a country in Ethiopia, we have different good agroecological practices. So we can take two examples. The first is if you go to Konso, the southern area of Ethiopia. So communities, they do agroecology more practical into the ground. So they build a truss to conserve the soil from erosion. And also they have a traditional way of collecting water. So in this, they protect the soil fertility. And also during the on season and off season of the rainy time, they got an opportunity to have available water for their livestock and also for their plants. So when they do the tracing, it also helps them to increase the crop yield in reducing the soil erosion. So the result is mainly on ecological recovery, and also it helps them to have food sovereignty. So they don't really depend on food aid or another supplies, because when they do the tracing, they mostly plant trees, they recover the soil. So especially around Conso, the land before agroecological practice, it's really can considered as a desert. So there is no plants there, there is no grass there. Really, within the community work, they do a tracing, they start planting trees, and even under the trees, they start really producing crops for their household. It's not only one crop, they also diversify their crops. Some they produce maize, sorghum within it, and also legumes like beans. And like one, they diversify their household food. They also protect the land. It makes it more green to have a nice moisture. At the same time, they feed their kids, the family, and also have a nice source for their livestock. So we can take a Conso experience as an example. And also the same as the northern part of Ethiopia around Tigray, there is also activities that really done to really re-establish the land, especially the ecosystem. So those are also an example of agroecology. And I can add one for you. If you go to some areas of Oromia, nowadays the farmers start to use organic way of production, especially organic way of crop production. So there is no synthetic fertilizer use. Farmers start to produce their own compost. Some they also use vermicompost, again, especially soil acidity. So you can take those as an example. One, it reduces the cost for the farmers because they're not going to buy a fertilizer. At the same time, it also protect their soil. It also make their soil fertile. And even like you can see the biodiversity around that area starts to really increasing every time. So those can be an example within also our indigenous way of protecting the soil, especially if you go to the countryside, you will see farmers using their own local pesticides, which is not harmful, which is not chemical. Some they use ash, some they use leaves of castor oil to put to their vegetables. So those are traditional knowledge that are preserved for a generation, but they are natural way, they are agroecological. So we can take those as an example. What surprises you is our farmers have a very nice and amazing agroecological knowledge, indigenous knowledge. So if you take the smallholder farmers, for them, agroecology is really a backbone. So they really hold it from generation to the generation as an indigenous knowledge. So you can see about the local ecosystem, the crop variety they use, the sustainable land management they use. This is a wisdom. For example, if you go to the countryside, you don't see farmers really like producing one crop. Mainly they do a crop rotation. So if they produced this year, they produce wheat the other year. So this is like a traditional knowledge. We feel like it's not something that we consider it, but it's like the more that you really rotate the crop, the more that you really protect the nutrients in the soil. So they also do intercroppings. So if you see a maize, under the maize, you will see a beans. So like they really intercrop it. When they do the maize, it really like gives them a cash crop, but the beans, it really helps them, since it's a legume, it really helps them to fix the nitrogen in the soil. So that reduces the fertilizer. It's a natural fertilizer for them. And also they have an amazing traditional seed saving knowledge. So they really preserve a local seed from generation to generation. Some they do it, especially the women, they play a critical role in this, especially in preserving the seed. So they put it in a traditional clay. We call it insra. So they put it there for like maybe 2 years, 3 years. They preserve it. Whenever they need that kind of crop, they go and take it, and they really produce a nice production. So it's not really like they putting it in the clay, but they also teach their kids how to really preserve a seed. You know, seed is really vital when it comes to agriculture, when it comes to agroecology, even for us to really survive and be food sovereign. Seed really plays a critical role. So it's really an essential farming system that are both productive and also they're ecological sound. So one principle of agroecology is about co-creation of knowledge. So your knowledge that you have today is not really like going to stay here. You're going to give it to your kids, your grandkids. So agroecology also, as its principle of co-creation and knowledge, it's about blending the modern science with the traditional practice. So it's really a propaganda, I can say, because we as even Africans, they consider us we're not feeding our community with the production that we have. But conservational agricultural system is the more that we start to be even less in economic development. Some like many problem of climate change, economical change happen to us. But this is because we really didn't consider agroecology as a solution. So my advice and my suggestion for them is to go back and really listen to themselves. So to really evaluate themselves and see, okay, before this conventional agriculture come to the plate, it's agroecological based farming system that feeds the African community for this long. So our parents, our grandparents, they really feeding us. They're really feeding the community, even if they consider that's a backyard system, but they really sustain us to really reach at this point. So going back to the nature and listening to the nature, it don't have a harm. It really creates a change. And so all we need is a nature, an environment that is really well protected, preserved, to give it to the next generation. So I can say like, I really ask them to go back and really see and listen. Yeah. Urban use also can play a critical role. So urban youth can engage in agroecology mainly by starting to supporting the urban, especially those urban gardens, community-based agricultures, and also farmer markets and food cooperatives. Today we have a lot of food cooperatives, especially I think we start calling them shamachoch. You can also notice these days we have those markets where we are going to buy vegetables, especially on the weekends. So those we have to promote them to really more engage in agroecologically produced products. So they can also become an advocate, especially using social medias, using arts. Agroecology is the future.